Oh, hello, welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV. Let's continue on with Heaven on High. Like I said from last time, I did a second file so that in case we disconnect or I screw up and die, I can just immediately jump back in to continue showing you progress and or stop the recording and then start the next recording on the same floor that I died or disconnected on. Now, we're in the early floors, so you wouldn't think that, we'd want to be interested in the Accursed Horde, but Heaven on High actually has a unique hairstyle that is locked inside of it. That's only available in the first 30 floors from the Accursed Horde. I don't really care about it, because like most hairstyles they release in this game, it's very effeminate and doesn't really look good on a guy, but yeah, it's just my opinion. There's some pretty dangerous monsters on this floor set, actually. I'll let you know what they are when we get to them, but there's some stuff that can actually rather easily kill you if you kill it too slowly. So what do you think of the Gunbreaker animation? Technically we don't have all of them because we don't have Bloodfest or Blasting Zone. But as far as Blasting Zone goes, just imagine a bigger hit version of Danger Zone with it causes the screen to not really shake, but it has an impact effect on it that makes you feel like it hits really hard. Particularly when you can hear the sound. Also, this is the Otter Trap. Same thing as the Frog Trap, basically, except you turn into a cute otter that has a nice hat and a lantern. The little lantern has a Triskelay on it. Actually, two Triskelays on it, but whatever. Actually pretty much doubled up on my Empyrean Aether Pool armor and arms, 12 in the weapon and 10 in the armor. But even so, we're still relatively weak. Still. Just like Palace of the Dead, everything goes to 99 plus 99 and when you get up to making a weapon works differently for the outside. They let you instead of using all of your weapon or 30 or 60 of it at a time, they made it so that you can spend 10 weapon energy at a time. And I think it's once you spend 90 weapon energy and armor energy, you get an I-365 weapon that looks exactly like the weapon that you're wielding with him here. And unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, there might be some sort of aura change, but once the weapon gets to 60-60, there's no actual change to its appearance, unlike the House of the Dead weapons. You know, they went from being like bright whitish, bluish, or whitish pinkish, or whitish greenish, to being, you know, blood red all the time. This one just stays static orange, like it's like fresh out of a blacksmith's furnace. Ooh, got a flare. Nice. Not screw up this run then. Heavenly Namazu, huh? Doesn't got a bell collar on. Nice. Stabbing me with a tiny trident. None of that now. Hey, there's the horde. Alright, high quality super potions. Let's heal 6,000 HP, I think. Depending on your total HP. And they're currently still the best potions in the game. Which is kind of sad, because by the time you're in the level 80 range, 6,000 HP isn't even... Yeah, it's not even 10% of your total health. Whereas at the 70 range, depending on your item level, like item level 400 DPS generally have about 60,000 HP, so 6,000 HP heal on a DPS is basically 1/10 of the total HP. Got a flicker. Currently, the most recent item level gain you can get is item level 500 with I-505 weapons, and tanks that have that much gear generally have something like 180,000 HP. It's pretty ridiculous. But, you know, since it's an MMO, everything, you know, it levels along with you. It doesn't really ever matter what your maximum stats are, because the most current content will always still be capable of killing you quite easily. Got us some haste. Oh, look, there's the horde. No auto heal. How dare you? Also, I might be remembering wrong, but I think the hairstyle is actually only available from like the lowest bag which are actually only available for floors 1 to 20. Which I don't think it's possible to find the accursed board on the boss floors. So honestly, you only have 18 floors in which to attempt to get boards to get the hairstyle. If I get it, I'll probably sell it. Because I don't really plan on changing Clyde's hair. There's a lot of hairstyles that I actually like in this game. They definitely design more with women characters in mind. That's the majority of the player base, regardless of real life gender or sex, plays women, which is, you know, just common MMO lifestyle choices. What's kind of interesting to me is, like, the game has a lot of LGBT people who play. I may have mentioned this before, but like, you would think that the trans people that play, because there are lots of them, they would just play, you know, woman or man, whichever one they're transitioning to, and refer to themselves as such, but their real life identity like carries into the game, and they like insist that their character is also trans, and that like they're not done transitioning yet. And it's like, but it's a fantasy world. Why would you want your real life problems to be associated with your fantasy character as well? Why not just have them be what you want to be in real life? But I don't know. Of course, it is just the internet, ultimately, right? Like, MMOs, you know, like it's sort of like being in a contained social media environment, or somewhat contained, right? Like within the game world. So there's people who try to police other people with regards to things like cybering or erotic roleplay, as they call it nowadays. You'll see, ooh, that's a crag site. I could use that, but I'm just gonna save it until it's actually either an emergency or I'm so low on time that I have no choice, which is also basically just an emergency. But yeah, you know, like, this is kind of, you know, adult entertainment sort of aspect, but you know, like, if you've been to like Hentai Foundry, or if you've looked up any sort of pornography on the internet, generally, you know, there's like a whole fetishization of trans people and also hermaphrodites in the form of stuff like, you know, Futanari and that sort of thing. So like, if you go to any of the servers in this game that have high populations that participate in that sort of thing, then you'll also find trans players who like occasionally, you know, like try to police people about it, which like it's not something they really do in public, really. You know, they don't usually do like shout call-outs or anything. It's just something that's like, from personal experience, you know, I've gone and done that out of boredom before, and I've had someone, you know, claiming to be trans try to police me for it too. frankly silly. But yeah, you know, whatever. It's the world we live in. Not exactly sure why we haven't seen any yet. Maybe they only appear from 15 to 20 or 16 to 20. But there's a dangerous water monster in here that it's basically the living liquid, but in hand form as a random monster. And if you don't kill it quickly enough, it will cast Wash Away. And if you don't stun Wash Away, or you let Wash Away go off, it's instant death. To everyone in your party that is within, I think it's like 25 yalms or yards or whatever of the Wash Away cast. So that's the thing. Ah, here's one of the giant rooms I told you about. Despite the fact that it's just one big room, you have these square quadrants, and each quadrant has a chance to have a trap in it. So there's still traps in here. So you still got to be careful. Now, this isn't the water monster I said was all dangerous, but it's GLOOM. Me not being careful. Kind of risky here. What are you? Ah, there's one of the heavenly hand. This is what I was talking about. See, they don't have that much HP, but it's sort of like whenever they, especially in the lower floors, whenever they have a monster that's like, you know, it's got an AoE instant death like that, like the slimes back in House of the Dead. That's basically what they're analogous to, right? I don't know how to say that. Whatever. You know what I mean. It's an analog to the slimes. It's a mass pull prevention measure so that you're not pulling everything in sight if you're in like a group or something. Oh, a Splinter of Inferno Magicite. How about that? This is a steal, right? Oh, that's a safety. Okay, that's more than welcome. You might be thinking, like, why wouldn't you wait to interrupt Wash Away with the stun? That's because it was close enough to being dead that I could just prevent the cast for a while longer. There's two ways to view stun, and that is like stunning a technique, and that is you could either stun the technique directly, or you could stun the creature in hopes of killing it before the cast even started. And stunning the ability is always better because monster rotations, like their timing, is set up so that they don't do the same cast for like another, it's like 15 to 30 seconds, depending on what type of monster it is and like what their script tells them to do. So like, you stun the ability, and then theoretically, you should be able to stun it every time it comes up if it's a 30-second script ability. But if it's like a 15-second one, though, you'll know. The instant death ones are usually 30-second style things. And if they're not, then they're immediate useful, like as soon as the monster can again. So like if you stun the ability, they'll just do it again after after they come unstunned. The sandworms in the deeper portions of Palace of the Dead are like that. I don't know if I got to show those off because I didn't get past the 184 boss. Which was really sad. I like went to the forums and I was like, hey, was there something I did wrong? Like, is there any way I can speed this up or do this better on Dark Knight? Basically, the answers I got were like, basically no, not without making use of an exploit that goes something like, you do this thing where you run around the monster and they get spun. That's dangerous. That wasn't. I have done a bad. I have done a bad. Woo! This is actually really bad. Tiny Clyde. Looks like the size of the wall fell. Strength and a steel to go up with. That's nice. Just want to look for silver still. And if I cared about high score, I would try that. Although I there's no real way I can show it off on I almost did stream, even though this is just recording. There's no way I could show it off. Because like I can't go to the site, as far as I know, while recording. But unless somebody on Primal like got all obsessive doing Palace of the Dead on Dark Knight like within the last couple of weeks, then Clyde got up to being like the #2 high score Dark Knight on Primal, or maybe not on Primal, but on Excalibur at least. For Palace of the Dead solo rankings. Not that those matter at all, like, all it really shows is that you milked out, one, you got really deep, and two, you milked out the early floors as much as possible for kills, because your score is dependent on how many monsters you kill, more than anything else. So it's like, meh. Also, this floor is terrible, and I hate it. See, we can't. Continuation counts as an ability, so anytime you have amnesia, you can't do your full continuation combo. No ability floors are actually kind of Tank's bane in here because they slow you down so much. One of the beautiful things, yeah, I looked into solo clear things and soloing like tips for both Heaven on High and House of the Dead, so I wanted to show them off in the Let's Play. And basically right now, one of the best jobs to take to this content is actually Machinist, because they don't have to engage the monster very much, and their potencies have been jacked up so high that they'll usually kill the monster before it even gets to them. They can also inflict bind and heavy, which means if they are having problems with an especially fast moving monster or something, or if it's like a ranged caster monster and they need to, they can bind it and then run away and heal up. So that lets them basically fight with impunity, because what they don't kill almost instantly, which is nearly everything, then they'll kill, slowly as it chases them down or whatever. And but more than that is the fact that some of their weapon skills are like drill, which is 700 potency technique, and then they have if you're in Heaven on High, they have their full heated combo, which is like it's something ridiculous, like a 250 potency attack into a 300 potency attack into a 400 potency attack, and it's all ranged attacks. Like it's ridiculous. And then they have Hot Shot until a certain point. It eventually evolves into Air Anchor, which is another 740 potency attack. And the only difference between it and Drill is that Drill's on like a 20-second cooldown, whereas Air Anchor or Hot Shot's on like a 40-second cooldown. And but they still count as weapon skills. So when you get ability lock floors, it doesn't matter. You still have your strongest hits available to you. Although it still slows you down a little bit, because I mean, Machinist does have abilities that they want to make use of, like Reassemble, which makes the next attack be an automatic direct crit. Nice, nice. Now, there's no way I can sit here and wait for 5 billion years for my HP to go back up. So I'm gonna use this in case this is a bomb. Hey, look, it was a bomb. I am so smart. SMRT. Okay. Although I lost my buffs. It's okay. We're gonna get off this hell floor after we kill this Tatsunoko. Never mind, after we kill the Heavenly Otokage. Man, he hits hard. What the fuck? Tiny Clyde. was out of that. That's something I never really understand is like, you'll move out of an AoE and like, I know about latency, right? You move out of an AoE and then you move back into it or whatever, ever so slightly as the cast bar is finishing. Like, the cast should have already been finished on the server's end, but it's like, nope, the player was in it, so make him get hit. Like, it's infuriating. It's infuriating. Yay, upgrade! You know, I was mentioning the LGBT community being a large portion of this game's player base. And I really don't know what the demographic would be. I'd say probably about half the player base. That's like, I have no actual census data to back that up. That just seems to be my personal experience. About half the players I run into are LGBT. I had an entire morning static where literally only me and I think the white mage, and I probably mentioned this before because I talk about it, the same stuff almost all the time, but it was me, the white mage, were the only more or less straight people, I guess, and everyone else was LGBT, and they had all their own little in-jokes that I just, like, they were funny to me a lot of the time, but not for the same reasons they were funny to them. And then at the same time I had that morning static. My evening static, it was mostly heterosexual people, I guess, but there was still, the leader was gay, because it's the same leader as the morning static, and we had a gay black mage, and I think that was it. But that group also had more, well, both groups had a lot of issues with retaining people, especially healers, but the evening group for sure had way more hugging and replacements go on, at least while I was part of both groups. So, and the people that we shifted in and out were almost never gay either, which is kind of interesting, but I don't know. It was also kind of funny. It was we had a trans woman in the morning static, and she played samurai, and I didn't know she was trans, like, and she used to play Astrologian or whatever, and she had like a curious cat or something. It's like one of those anonymous question asker sites where like you just set it up and then people, whoever comes in will, you know, shoot you an anonymous question or whatever. And you can post your pictures there and like have people ask questions about the pictures and whatnot, or like comment on the pictures. And she would post pictures of her like legs in like high heels and pantyhose, and really nice legs. And I was like, you know, being flirty and hitting on her and stuff. And then my friend, who's the raid leader, is like, you might not want to be hitting on her. And I was like, why? It's like, I don't think that you would you know, if you knew a certain piece of information, you might not be hitting on her. And then later I found out, you know, that she was trans, and I was like, oh, well. And I did get a little less flirty, but yeah, she was attractive, so. It's just one of those things, like, you admit it and you're like, wow, did I really just admit that? I mean, you know, trans people, once they do get far enough along in their transition, as long as they started their transition, like, soon enough or whatever, and, you know, I mean, it depends on genetics, too, and, like, what they have the money to basically shell out for in the way of hormones and things. Now, you see, this is back on topic of the game, this is the boss for the 20th floor. It's called Becho or whatever, or Becho. It's basically an Achamoth clone from the Amdapur, Lost City of Amdapur hard mode, first boss there. So we're gonna see a lot of that crap, and most of it's not even gonna be dangerous because we're by ourselves. But it's still something you should keep in mind. I like the names of Gunbreaker's mitigation skill. Got Nebula, Super Bolide, Camouflage, Heart of Stone. Also, another kind of nice thing about playing with gay people is that, particularly gay men, is that whenever we have to do pickup groups and lady gamers come in, it's been my experience that sometimes lady gamers don't want to take responsibility for their failings, or, like, you know, they try to sort of smooth talk the group because they're a woman, you know, into, like, getting extra gear, or, like, using a certain strategy or something, and, you know, if the group doesn't agree, you know, then they bitch. And the bitching, you know, differs person to person, but, and it's not really any different than a guy bitching, but in a way it is, because, you know, they're playing on the sex, they play the sexism card. It's basically what happens. And in my experience with my old raid leader, whenever that would happen, which it happened, you know, only like a handful of times. I could probably count the number of times it happened on one hand. But whenever it did happen, he always shut it down. Like, basically, and, you know, it's just sort of like a fun interpersonal interaction. The sassy gay versus the bitchy female. I, for one, you know, like, I'd have a hard time dealing with a woman online, like, if I had to, like that. Like, I mean, I probably could, but, you know, I would just... I've always had issues, like, being nervous around girls, so it's sort of like... As hard as I've worked at it, you know, I'm still very awkward. Very self-defeating. I think Beccho hits a little bit harder than the floor 10 boss, but, you know, really, as long as you're not getting gaze attacked, you know, it never knocks you out of range. A lot easier. It's probably immune to slow, but I'm gonna try anyway. Sometimes I just like using my skills even if I know they're not gonna do anything. Just to have used them. Like, it was always sad to me, in 2.0 and even in Heaven's Word, there were a lot of skills that the game still had that you just didn't use in your normal rotation at all because they didn't do anything, because of, like, they would inflict like a status ailment, like slow, or, you know, we're supposed to do it like a knockback or something, but, you know, they didn't work because they didn't want bosses to be, you know, possibly trivialized by, you know, letting us actually do things to them other than damage them to make the fights easier to design, I guess. And none of those skills exist anymore, really. But, you know, in certain situations, some of your skills, they just don't do anything. Like stun on the bosses in Heaven on High doesn't do anything. You know, slow from arm's length doesn't do anything. But at the same time, though, arm's length is a beautifully designed skill because it's also an anti-knockback, which that does work. So most of the time, so you know, it's kind of whatever. The challenger has conquered the 20th floor, and it is only a matter of time before he arrives to confront you. May I suggest that... Yes, quite. In that case, I shall leave you to attend your duties. As I return to mine, fare thee well. Why is he talking to a monster? Wait, haven't we seen something brown like that with hair like that before? 3 silver haloed sacks. Well, let's go see what's in those sacks. And then, yeah, I've been recording for like almost 50 minutes, so we'll see what's in these sacks. Whether we get the hairstyle or not, we'll just, you know, just whatever, and then that'll be the end of the video. Orange cherry blossom corsage. That's like a glamour for a headpiece. Thavnarian headdress. That's also glamour for a headpiece. And the Lemonson sparkler. Woo! Spring break! Woo! Woo! Gentlemen, fill me with barbecue sauce, for I am dumb as hell. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Didn't mind my commentary. It's some people might see it as edgy commentary, or maybe even what's the word? Bigoted? Yeah, bigoted commentary, and that's not what I mean to be at all. So sorry if you feel that way. But anyway, thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a good day.